Hello everyone. It's great to see you again. Let's find out what's waiting for us today together. Have you ever wondered how one single day can change the course of history forever? Well, today we're diving into one of those pivotal moments, the Battle of Hastings. It's a story packed with ambition, betrayal, and a clash of civilizations that would forge the England we know today. This isn't just a dusty old battle. It's the dramatic final act of a year of chaos, a year with not one, not two, but three kings vying for a single throne. So let's set the scene. It's January 1066. Edward the Confessor, the King of England, dies without a clear heir. This creates a massive power vacuum. On his deathbed, Edward supposedly pointed to his most powerful nobleman, Harold Godwinson, and named him successor. The very next day, Harold is crowned King Harold II. Problem solved, right? Not even close. Across the English Channel, another powerful figure is watching very, very closely. This is William, the Duke of Normandy. William claims that years earlier, both King Edward and Harold himself had promised him the English throne. He saw Harold's coronation not as a legitimate succession, but as a blatant betrayal. For William, this was personal. He began assembling a massive invasion fleet, a force of thousands of knights and soldiers, ready to cross the Channel and take what he believed was rightfully his. But wait, the drama doesn't stop there. There's a third contender. Up in the north, we have Harald Hardrada, the fearsome king of Norway, a true Viking warrior of legend. He also had a claim to the English throne, a rather complicated one, tied to a previous Viking king. Egged on by Harold Godwinson's own exiled brother, Tostig, Hardrada decides to make his move. Two massive invasion threats, one from the south and one from the north. King Harold too is caught in the middle. As William prepares his fleet in Normandy, delayed by unfavorable winds, Hardrada strikes first. In late September, the Norwegian Vikings land in the north of England. They crush a local English army at the Battle of Fulford. The city of York surrenders. It looks like the Viking king might just succeed, but King Harold is no slouch. Hearing the news, he marches his army an incredible 185 miles north in just 4 days. It's a lightning-fast response that completely catches the Vikings by surprise. On September 25, 1066, Harold's forces smash into the unsuspecting Norwegian army at Stamford Bridge. The battle is a bloodbath, but a decisive English victory. Both Harold Hardrada and Tostig are killed. The Viking threat is eliminated. It's a stunning military achievement for King Harold. He has saved his kingdom, but there's no time to celebrate. Just 3 days later, as his exhausted army is recovering in the north, he gets the news he's been dreading. William has landed. The winds had finally changed, and the Norman invasion had begun on the south coast, near a place called Pevensey. Harold is now faced with an impossible choice. His army is battered and weary from the march north and the brutal fight at Stamford Bridge. The logical move would be to wait, to gather more troops and let his men recover. But William's army is ravaging the countryside, Harold's own personal lands, trying to draw him out. Goaded into action, Harold makes a fateful decision. He will march south immediately. He gathers what's left of his army, picks up fresh but inexperienced levies along the way, and races down the length of England once again. Another exhausting march of over 250 miles. On the morning of October 14th, 1066, the two armies finally face each other on a ridge 7 miles from Hastings. The location would become known as Senlac Hill, which literally means Lake of Blood. Harold has the high ground, a huge tactical advantage. He organizes his men into a tightly packed shield wall, a near impenetrable defensive formation of Anglo-Saxon warriors. His plan is simple. Let the Normans wear themselves out attacking his position uphill and then counterattack. William's army is different. It's a combined arms force: archers to soften up the enemy, heavily armored cavalry for shock attacks, and infantry to support them. As the sun rises, the battle begins. The Norman archers let loose a volley of arrows, but they mostly fly over the heads of the English or thud harmlessly into the shields of the wall. Then William sends his infantry and knights charging up the hill. They crash into the shield wall, a chaotic mess of hacking axes and stabbing spears, but the English line holds firm. The Anglo-Saxon housecarls, Harold's elite warriors, wield their terrifying long-handled battle axes, capable of cutting down both the knight and his horse in a single blow. The Normans are repulsed, taking heavy casualties. The battle rages for hours. The Normans charge again and again, but the shield wall refuses to break. At one point, a rumor spreads through the Norman ranks that Duke William has been killed. Panic begins to set in, and his men start to retreat. But William, ever the commander, rides among them, lifting his helmet to show his face. "I live," he shouts, "and by the grace of God I shall conquer." He rallies his men and turns the retreat into a renewed assault. This moment gives William an idea. He notices that some of the inexperienced English soldiers on the flanks had broken formation to chase the retreating Normans, only to be cut down when the Normans turned on them. He decides to use this to his advantage. He orders his knights to perform a series of feigned retreats-fake withdrawals designed to lure the English out from the safety of their shield wall. The trick works. Pockets of English soldiers, eager for victory, break ranks and charge down the hill, only to be surrounded and destroyed by the Norman cavalry. The shield wall begins to thin. As dusk begins to fall, the battle still hangs in the balance. The English, though weakened, are still holding the ridge. William knows he needs to end this now. He makes a crucial change in tactics. He orders his archers to fire their arrows high into the air, to plunge down from above onto the heads of the English soldiers behind the shield wall. It's a deadly, terrifying rain of steel. And then it happens. The moment that changes everything. According to tradition, a stray arrow flies high and strikes King Harold directly in the eye. He falls, mortally wounded. The loss of their king is a devastating blow to the morale of the English army. Their leadership is gone. The shield wall, which had held for so long, finally crumbles. The Normans surge forward, overwhelming the last pockets of resistance. The battle is over. The English army is shattered, and their king lies dead on the field. In the aftermath, William of Normandy marches to London. On Christmas Day 1066, he is crowned King of England in Westminster Abbey, the very place Harold had been crowned less than a year before. This event, known as the Norman Conquest, didn't just change who wore the crown. It changed England forever. The old Anglo-Saxon aristocracy was replaced by a new French-speaking ruling class. The English language itself was transformed, absorbing thousands of French words. The landscape became dotted with Norman castles, symbols of their power and dominance. The entire legal and social structure of the country was reorganized under a system we now call feudalism. The Battle of Hastings wasn't just a victory for William. It was the birth of a new nation, a fusion of Anglo-Saxon and Norman culture that would eventually evolve into the England and indeed the English language that we know today. All because of one fateful day on one bloody hill. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to 1066. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the most dramatic moments in history. Let me know in the comments what battle you'd like to see covered next. Until then, stay curious.